I understand that I may have taken yet another left turn in regards to reviews, but this isn't too much out of left field, is it? I mean, I reviewed two Spider-Man games, which are both PlayStation exclusives, and I've met Yuri Lowenthal, which is the voice actor for Spider-Man on PS4, which I know those are games, but for those of you that are new here, this is primarily a gaming channel, meaning I talk about video games mostly on this channel, particularly single player ones, but I've done a couple of movie reviews on this channel. The movies I've done reviews of are Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald and Final Fantasy VII Advent Children Complete. The reason why I'm doing a movie review is I would like my channel to branch out some, but not too much to the point where it deviates what the point of my channel is. Like, if I ever do a book review, for example, it would probably be a couple of those Final Fantasy VII books, which I will show on screen here. And the Shin Megami Tensei series started out as books, and so did The Witcher. I've been excited for this movie for months now, ever since I've heard the rumors of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I mean, I was gonna see the movie regardless, but hearing all those rumors leading up to this movie's release definitely had my interest piqued. And I remember like being on the lookout for a trailer, and I remember anticipating a trailer as if anticipating a Nintendo Direct. So how did this movie turn out? Let's get right into it. So, in case you can't really tell, I don't really have a script for this video. I'm just sort of winging it. But to start things off, let's go ahead and get spoilers out of the way first. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, well, scroll to this point in the video right here. Which, I know with YouTube nowadays, if you kind of like scroll it, it shows like a little box with a picture of what's happening in that moment. Don't worry, I'm not posting any images related to spoilers. In fact, it's just Spider-Man PS4 gameplay in the background here. So, anyway, so I experienced a lot of emotions with this movie, both happy and sad. I mean, I did feel a little emotional when Aunt May sort of died, of course. I mean, of course, she died at the end of Spider-Man PS4, which that game's been out for a few years now, so kind of expecting PlayStation owners to have played it. But anyway, to get back on topic, I mean, yes, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are in this movie. In case you haven't seen this movie yet, or don't plan on seeing it and don't mind spoilers, but if you are watching this video, you probably already seen and want someone else's opinion on it. But yeah, so I've been watching Spider-Man movies since Sam Raimi on the ones with Tobey Maguire, which came out early 2000s, I believe. And man, I remember when Andrew Garfield showed up on screen. Like, I remember Ned was like doing that little ring thing, and I mean, I did see like Spider-Man, like, I for a second did think that was Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but as he kind of like, as like Ned and MJ kind of called out to Peter and saw that he kind of like jumped through the portal that Ned created, like, I immediately recognized the suit. Like, I was like, Andrew Garfield? Is that Andrew Garfield? Like, I'm pretty sure the people in the theater around me, like, I'm pretty sure when I was sitting in the theater, people around me heard me, but I was excited. But then I was like, Andrew Garfield? Because as soon as I saw the suit, I definitely knew that was Andrew Garfield's suit. So I was like, and then he took off the mask. I was like, yes. I got a little bit louder than I normally do at the theaters. Like whenever, of course, when I go to movies, I'm quiet, of course. I know better than to talk during a movie, but I was definitely sort of loud for the theater environment here. And then I remember when Ned tried to like summon Peter Parker again, and I was like thinking, Tobey Maguire, come on, Tobey Maguire. And then when Tobey appeared on screen, I got, yeah, I mean, this movie had a good plot too. Like having Mysterio like reveal Peter Parker's identity. It's definitely a good setup for the film for sure. Which it's not really. That part's not really a spoiler for those who have seen Far From Home, that post-credit scene, and well, yeah, I like how this kind of explored the dangers of having Peter Parker's identity revealed. Like when I was a kid, I did question. I didn't quite fully understand why superheroes like kept their identities secret, but I mean, as I grew older, I did sort of figured it out, and this movie sort of confirmed it for me. But anyway, and like, in fact, my favorite part in this movie was when like Andrew Garfield came in and saved MJ. Like, I cried tears of joy when I saw that, and like I even went back on YouTube to watch audience reactions to that. Like, I went back and watched audience reactions to Toby and Andrew appearing, and the one I watched the most was Andrew Garfield saving MJ. Like, I was so happy for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in that moment, and I thought it was pretty, I also liked how, like, Tobey Maguire stopped Tom Holland from like, impaling the Green Goblin, because yeah, that happened in the first Spider-Man movie, and I guess that's like Tobey's redemption. Like Andrew saving MJ is Andrew Garfield's redemption, and a couple things I'm disappointed in though. Like, so we had 5 villains in this film, and I was disappointed there was not a 6, because well, could have had the full Sinister Six here. Like, I expected Venom to show up in this movie because of like Venom 2. That I forgot the subtitle for the Venom sequel, but like Venom did show up. Eddie Brock did show up in the post-credit scene. Like Tom Hardy, I believe is his name, and like I expected Venom to be the 6th Sinister Six villain that wasn't shown in the trailers, but I thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity that there wasn't like 6 villains like overall in this movie. And well, let's see, another thing I was sort of slightly disappointed in was I definitely wanted like kind of more of an epilogue with Andrew and Toby. Like, I kind of wish, I thought it'd be kind of nice to see Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane, but I guess Andrew sort of got proper closure when he saved MJ. And yeah, the ending of the movie, I mean, it definitely kind of opens up future sequels, which I read online that this was to be treated like it was the last Spider-Man movie ever, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. So a couple of things I forgot to mention while recording myself. Daredevil appears in this movie. Not in costume, but it does make me wonder, are they gonna make a Daredevil movie in the future? Now for the spoiler-free section. Again, I'm doing this without a script. So, overall, this movie made me feel stuff. Like, I would tell you, this is definitely a 10 out of 10 movie. Like, a great story. Like, Far From Home did a great setup for this movie, and some of the visual effects were awesome. And we've seen in the trailers Doctor Strange, which there were some awesome special effects in this movie. And also, the acting was pretty good too, like, and I even cried a couple times, like, a couple of those times were tears of joy, and there were times I just kept smiling and so on and so forth. But I will say though, as far as the soundtrack goes, it didn't quite stand out as some of the tracks in like Sam Raimi's movies, and then in the Amazing Spider-Man, like, that Saving New York theme was a song I really liked in Andrew Garfield's first movie, and of course this movie's soundtrack isn't quite as good as Into the Spider-Verse's soundtrack, but so like, the music kind of didn't stand out to me as much as other Spider-Man films, and well, as far as story goes, like, story started out really good, like, of course, so my advice, go see this movie as soon as possible, or better yet, stay off of social media before you go see this movie, because there are some pleasant surprises that Spider-Man fans are going to want to see. And yes, I mean Spider-Man fans, because this movie has William Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred, I forgot his last name, as Doc Ock, and Sandman is back with the same actor as Spider-Man 3's Sandman, and then Jamie Foxx is back as Electro, and then there's Lizard. I know many people complained about how in Spider-Man 3 there was like multiple villains. I think most people complained about that in Amazing Spider-Man 2, so how would this movie do that well? And did it do it well? Of course it did it real well, but you gotta watch Andrew Garfield's and Tobey Maguire's movies. Like, I would highly recommend you watch those movies before watching this movie. Kind of like how I recommend watching all the Marvel movies, starting with Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, before watching Endgame, because you'll get the most out of this movie if you've watched the Sam Raimi and Andrew Garfield's movies, as well as Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. But how this movie ended up doing the multiple villains right is, well, they've been introduced in past movies, whereas in Spider-Man 3, they were introduced there. Like, Sandman was introduced and Venom was introduced, which kind of made Spider-Man 3's plot all over the place, which there were some things I liked about 3. Don't get me wrong, but Spider-Man 3 did have a lot going on in terms of plot, and for a 2-hour movie especially, but for this movie being a 2.5-hour movie, I mean there's no need to do like an introduction of all these characters, because, well, we would know them all beforehand, and so we can just get straight to the point on this movie. And so overall, great acting, amazing special effects, great story, I might add, although I'm a little mixed about the end, however, but I mean, of course, no movie is perfect, and I gotta like name a couple things that I don't really quite agree with, such as I wish the characters kind of got a bit of an extended epilogue, although they did get closure. I just kind of wish it was a little bit, it's just like, boom, end of character. I kind of wish they got a bit more as far as closure goes, but it's like the movie did the bare minimum as far as closure goes for some of these characters. But anyway, this definitely sets up for future movies, of course, but overall, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It was a fantastic movie, and I'm so glad I watched it. I mean, of course, is it for everybody? If you're not a Spider-Man fan, this isn't going to do much for you, unfortunately. But if you are a Spider-Man fan, you will be pleased with this movie. I promise you that. Well, okay, bit of a bold claim, but anyway, thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic night, and take care.